The insect's eyes gleamed with fierce, otherworldly light as they began to retreat from positions around the sacred five elements divine trees. Their movement caught the attention of Jacob, whose face twisted with unbridled rage at seeing such precious treasures being desecrated.
These contemptible creatures, feeding on the five elements divine trees like common pests. They dare to treat such sacred treasures as mere fodder.
Jacob's face contorted with unbridled fury as he witnessed this desecration. Each passing moment only served to fuel his growing anger, until it finally erupted in a thunderous roar.
How dare you, you worthless insects! Mere bugs daring to tarnish my divine trees. I will personally annihilate every last one of you.
Gripping his mighty sky halberd, Jacob's momentum burst forth like a gathering storm. The weapon thrummed with the extreme power of metal, its energy perfectly attuned to its master's murderous intent. With practiced precision, he brought the blade down in two devastating arcs. Twin half-moon slashes materialized, their deadly light cleaving through the air toward the mass of verdant frogs. But then something happened that didn't make any sense. Instead of the apparent destruction that was anticipated, there was merely the distinct sound of metal striking metal. After the impact, the insects were thrown into the air for a brief period of time. Yet, when they returned to their normal position, not a single one of them had even the slightest scratch.
What? What's going on here?
His failed attack had achieved only one thing: awakening the fury of the swarm. Now, tens of thousands of black and white bugs took to the air, their wings creating a terrifying symphony that echoed through the space. The sight that followed was both beautiful and terrifying. Moving with uncanny coordination, the vast swarm began to arrange itself in the air. Like soldiers forming ranks, they created a living, breathing citadel, a monochromatic fortress floating in the void. The living fortress circled 3 times in the air, each rotation building tension like a coiling spring. Then, without warning, the entire formation launched itself toward Jacob with deadly intent.
You're nothing but insects daring to challenge me. Such arrogance. You're signing your own death warrant.
Belittling the threat before him, Jacob channeled his vital energy with practiced ease. The energy coalesced into a massive spectral hand, reaching out to crush the approaching swarm.
Their defense might be slightly stronger than normal, but they're still just bugs. One crushing grip should be enough to end this farce.
But as his energy construct penetrated the swarm, something unprecedented occurred. Not only did it fail to crush the insects, but the verdant frogs turned the tables completely. Their countless mouths began to devour his vital energy construct, dissolving it into nothingness. Before Jacob could process this shocking development, the swarm struck. Like a storm of living bullets, they streaked across the void, their razor-sharp teeth gleaming with deadly purpose.
Fuck these infernal creatures! Fuck them all!
His features contorted in agony as the true horror of these creatures became apparent. Each bug possessed not only knife-like teeth, but also evolved hooks on their legs. These hooks latched onto his skin with terrifying efficiency, making any attempt to remove them a guarantee of torn flesh. What began as an annoyance quickly became a nightmare. From a few dozen bugs, the number on his body swelled to hundreds. Each new wave of insects joined their brethren, gradually transforming Jacob into a grotesque living cocoon.
This can't be happening. I must unleash my trump card. God of War bloodline, open!
Divine energy coursed through his veins as he activated his prestigious bloodline. But this desperate measure proved to be a grave mistake. Rather than repelling the insects, his awakened bloodline seemed to make him even more appetizing to the ravenous swarm. The bugs' assault grew even more vigorous, their biting and tearing becoming increasingly frenzied. To observers, Jacob now appeared as nothing more than a writhing mass of insects in the vague shape of a man.
William! William, save me!
Using every ounce of his remaining strength, Jacob attempted to flee from the relentless swarm, but the bugs pursued him tirelessly, their endless buzzing a symphony of impending doom. His only hope now lay in his brother's intervention. Through the gaps in the living armor of insects, his eyes desperately searched the horizon for any sign of salvation. As if in answer to his prayers, a powerful presence began to approach. William, who had been rushing toward Sky Mountain in search of his objective, was drawn back by his brother's desperate cries. When William finally caught sight of his brother, even his experienced heart couldn't help but skip a beat. The proud warrior he knew had been transformed into a horrifying spectacle. A man-shaped mass of writhing insects desperately flying toward him, pursued by an even larger cloud of the ravenous swarm.
What in heaven's name are you doing? Weren't you supposed to be collecting the 5 elements divine trees?
But the time for lectures had passed. Seeing his brother's dire situation, William immediately sprang into action. With practiced precision, his hands moved in perfect synchronization, drawing upon his profound energy to conjure a spear of pure flame. He carefully modulated its power, strong enough to deal with insects, yet not so powerful as to grievously harm his brother. The flame spear shot forth like a meteor, detonating in a spectacular explosion that engulfed both the swarm and his brother in a massive fireball.
No! William! You don't understand these creatures. They're completely immune to flame. They defy every natural law we know. You must find another way.
True to Jacob's warning, the bugs emerged from the inferno completely unharmed. Their numerous stomachs growled with an almost predatory anticipation as they turned their attention to this new challenger.
You think your pathetic attacks will work against a practitioner of the Martial King level?
His confidence wasn't mere bravado. The gap between the Martial King level and those below was as vast as the distance between heaven and earth, two entirely different planes of existence. With both hands firmly gripping his warsaber, William prepared for battle. The blade caught the light with an otherworldly gleam as his aura, deep and bottomless as an abyss, began to overflow. In this moment, he truly embodied the role of supreme ruler within the small world of the Newland space.
God of War blade skill. Storm.
His saber moved with impossible speed, slashing through the air dozens, then hundreds of times. Each strike precise, each movement perfect. The dense blade light coalesced into a perfect tornado, forming an impenetrable dragnet that charged toward the swarm. An attack powerful enough to instantly annihilate hundreds of semi-Martial King level experts. Yet when this devastating technique struck the swarm, sparks flew in all directions like a grinding wheel against steel. Only a mere dozen bugs fell from the sky, their lifeless bodies dropping to the ground. To the vast swarm, these losses were less than insignificant. like plucking a few drops from an endless ocean.
What? What manner of creatures are these? What kind of monstrous insects has Zane Martell been breeding? This is impossible. I cannot allow my reputation as a Marshal King expert to be tarnished by mere insects. I refuse to accept this. I'll stake my reputation as a Marshal King level expert on destroying you all. God of War bloodline, open!
A dark yellow mark materialized between his eyebrows, its appearance heralding a dramatic amplification of his already formidable aura. Then in the void behind him, an awe-inspiring sight took form, an enormous illusion of a god of war, resplendent in golden armor, wielding a war saber that mirrored his own.
Now you shall witness the true power of a Marshal King level expert.